And welcome to the Bradenton City Council meeting Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in City Hall Council Chambers. At this time, I will call lead pastor Matt Ennis with West Side Christian Church up to do our prayer, and then we'll do the invocation, or the prayer, and then we'll do the pledge. Please stand, and Pastor, come forward. Is Pastor here? Miss Barnaby, would you give us the prayer?
If you would join me, please. O Spirit that governs and watches over all of us, we ask for your wisdom and discernment as we make decisions that we hope will bring progressive action to our wonderful community. We thank you for your many blessings, and we ask that you watch over us and every employee, that they may do their job faithfully, do their duty well, go home to their families safely. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk.
The first item on the agenda this morning is a proclamation, which I'll read on behalf of the mayor. Village of the Arts 25th Anniversary Celebration Year 2025. Whereas the City of Bradenton and the Downtown Development Authority had a collective vision to help revitalize a historic neighborhood for local artists to work and live. Whereas the city rezoned several blocks to encourage artists to relocate just south of the downtown area, Interested artists formed a nonprofit organization in 1999 called the Artists Guild of Manatee. The Guild was instrumental in selecting Village of the Arts as the name for their new locale. Whereas Village of the Arts held their official grand opening on January 13th, 2001, and featured 8 businesses. Whereas today the Village of the Arts is currently home to 40 businesses and has been a model for other communities seeking to attract artists and revitalize neighborhoods. Whereas the villages dedicated their community and host art walks on the first Friday and Saturday of the month, community trick-or-treat, the Festival of the Skeletons, and the Cigar Box Festival. And whereas the Artists Guild continues to partner with numerous nonprofits, including United Way, Boys and Girls Club, Manatee County School District, Centerstone, Humane Society of Manatee County, and Art Center Manatee. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jean Brown, as mayor of the city of Bradenton, Florida, do hereby proclaim the year 2025 as Village of the Arts 25th Anniversary Celebration Year, and urge all citizens to visit, enjoy the amenities, and help the village celebrate on this very special anniversary. Signed, Jean Brown, Mayor.
All right. Who do we have? Miss Annie, come forward, and whoever your group is, come with you. So you have some kind and fun comments you want to say?
You know, it's been a long road to hoe, and it has been wonderful, and I am just so pleased that y'all are still supporting us in every way imaginable. And Councilwoman Barnaby has been here since the very beginning and has helped us a lot in creating the 18-block Village of the Arts that we now call home and where our businesses are. Public Works has always been my favorite department, so I just have to, give a nod to those folks.
And they're all here today.
I was going to say, is that who's here today? It sure looks like it, so that's opportune. And every one of you who has voted for issues here at the dais to support us, it's greatly appreciated, and we'll be back here.
Councilman Kramer. Oh, sure. Come up to the microphone so they can hear.
I'm I'm Dawn Collins. I have a couple of businesses in the village, but I just wanted to thank you all. As a business owner, what you did after the hurricane, coming in and cleaning up, that meant the world to us because we could get back, open up our businesses, and provide for our families. So thank you from all of us. We appreciate that.
I should say Vice Mayor Kramer.
Oh, whichever. I'm going to answer either way. It's great to see you all here today and great to celebrate. When Carrie reached out first and said, hey, this is the 25th year, I think of it as sports teams like a 25th season. And it's good to be able to look forward to all your commemorative events through this year. I hope there's a lot of history in it from photos across time, but very proud to have you all on my ward.
All right. I know, and I just want to thank the council for the start of it when obviously we had the hurricanes coming through and it was in a crucial month going into what you were going to do. And when we looked at things and as we went through, we thought, okay, what's the two things that we got to do first? And obviously downtown and Village of the Arts, because we know how hard it is for small business to thrive in today's society, and especially the economy that it's been the way things are, and hopefully that's improving over the next several years. But when you look at it, you say, what can happen? And when I got that phone call in that morning and said, don't cancel, we're going to be done. Well, they didn't have a lot of faith in some things that had happened in the past. I said, don't cancel, it will be done. And we not only had the majority of the people standing behind you in Public Works and Sanitation that were out there, but we had some great volunteer groups that came in, Keep Manatee Beautiful, and I'm going to say the one that came in the most in that one day on that Saturday morning when we had 50 volunteers going through the village. And what I was proud of, through Hale Law, they had almost 30 people come and help with Keep Manatee Beautiful group. We weren't going down the streets and picking up the trash in the streets and the yard debris and all of that. They were going in and helping people at their homes that weren't able to get it. And what we realized then that made the biggest difference was that stuff would have trickled out for months, but it was gone that day. And the people in their backyards that couldn't get the branches and the tree debris and that. So, and I know now we've got some of our staff out there that we'll recognize later that they drive through the village a little bit more often now and are getting stuff almost every day and making sure that it's there. Now, it's on you guys to also do some things that will promote your businesses and get that back. And that's important to all of us because with what we're doing at City Park, that you see the fences around the City Park area, it's going to be that important for City Park, Village of the Arts, Main Street, Riverwalk. And I say Main Street right now, but the goal of this council is to have it be one block, not just separated. And that's something that takes a long time, but I feel we're getting close. So thank you for what you guys have done for the 25 years, and Annie especially starting things. But now let's all get along, let's work together, and the next big thing is for me and us up here will be Santa in July, Christmas in July, so, and Mrs. Claus. So we really enjoy doing that. But thank you for what you've done, and keep up the good work. And any other comments by the council? Or?
You all have, sorry. Some of you were pioneers. You did not know how this was going to work, if it was going to work. You put your money and your mouth where it was important. And it has been, I think, a wonderful renaissance in that. I grew up in that area. Some of you all have houses that my Sunday school teachers had. So to me, every time I go through there, it's just a wonderful rebirth. It's kind of like the phoenix came out of something. So thank you for believing in the city of Bradenton.
Yeah, and I think one thing, with our public works, you got to go through a bunch of different scenarios. But one of the biggest things that the previous council and this council has really worked on, and especially through our utilities and Jim McClellan over the years, getting things going, is we don't have the flooding that we used to have. And that's very important, not only for just lifetime things, but also to keep businesses open and all that. So I think the more we can get people to see it, the more people love the eclectic type situation. It's not for everybody, but, you know, it's that when you get there, you want to have it and really enjoy those moments. And I can see it kind of swinging up, especially with the cleanliness. There is some questions on lighting, but I drove through there several times over the last couple of weeks. The lights are on. There's just some we're getting to, and when we have 150 plus work orders, I think at times, we'll get to them. But we actually had a big meeting yesterday with Mr. Perry. Where'd he go? He's down there. Got to find him again. And the Public Works Director and others and engineering, and it was talked about, some different ways to do lightings and maybe even some solar lightings if those things would help for the future. But thank you and congratulations. And you want to give them the proclamation? It's on there. You want to pick it up and kind of hold it and turn around, and we'll all stand up behind you and kind of get a picture. David will get that for us. You want to? Why don't you come back this way, and we can kind of stand behind you with the group. Come over here. Everybody left them. Everybody can see everybody. We got the tall person. Thank you. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
We're good. But Miss Moore lost hers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You got Annie. See you.
Take care.
We're working on that situation. I know. Yeah.
All right, moving forward. Madam Clerk.
Item 4A is a quarterly employee recognition presentation.
If some of the Village of the Art people don't mind staying a few minutes.
I'll take it and I'll pitch it to you.
All right, Madam Clerk.
It's the employee recognition.
Recognition, all right, right. So, something that was important to me many years ago when I came on the council, and it didn't seem that it was something that was going forward, was to try to do something for recognition of our employees. You've got employees that, you know, in all different departments work odd hours and are diving down into water holes and different other water that you wouldn't want to be getting involved in as it's flowing. And we know that our aged system is working through our face it and fix it situation. And when we looked back at this quarter and really talked, you know, there was a few individuals that you could have pointed out. But one of the things that was so important going through this last hurricane season and what we did through the whole time, because, you know, it started out with Debbie, went to Helene, and we thought, okay, Helene was terrible. Flooded hundreds, if not close to 1,000 homes in our city as well as our county and waterways, including obviously one of our council people that's still not back in her home, and others aren't either, you know, in the community. So you looked at, you know, boots on the ground, things happening, and I'll say it after Helene, when we called that day and said, hey, what's going on? And on a Friday, Saturday morning, I called Lance and Rob and James and said, can we get some people out to help? And we had 17 of our sanitation and others in the Public Works Department. It just wasn't sanitation. But you had employees that were willing to come out on a Sunday morning. And that Sunday morning, we got over almost 250,000 pounds. The state goes by cubic yards. We go by pounds because that's what you take to the landfill and they weigh you. And then over the next week before Milton even hit, we got over 1 million pounds cleaned up in neighborhoods. And one of the things that really hit, I think, and you look at things and you go, it wasn't sanitation doing their normal job, just picking up people's garbage that you're throwing out. It was, we were picking up their lives. And when you really think about it, you know, if you didn't have it happen to you, you were wondering why other stuff wasn't getting picked up maybe in a timely manner. But if you had it happen to you and you were dealing with it every day, you know, we were crushing their furniture, we were crushing their Bibles, we were their, nativity sets. We were crushing everything and putting it in the truck. And what I learned from it was that, they had it happen. It was done. You couldn't stop that. But what they did see was a city, and it wasn't us up here, it was you out there, loving your city and willing to do that work no matter what it took to help the citizens of Bradenton at least get a little normalcy. Don't start.
You started it.
I know, but what we saw and what the community saw was that we cared. And then, oh, by the way, 5 days later, 6 days later, we had another hurricane hit us. And what this group did, because it is, usually it's one or two or three, but today it's hundreds, was worth celebrating what you did for our city. And our city is still struggling with some things. And, we know as we get older, individually, you have to go to the doctor a little bit more. You have to go take care of yourself a little bit more. And our city is at that point. We've got a staff that is working so hard to try to make things better, face it and fix it. Some of the things that none of us in this room really started out with clay pipe and all of that, but we're working hard, and I don't think there's a person in this room that works for the city of Bradenton that no matter when they would get called, would not go out there and fight for our citizens. So from my standpoint, I just want to thank you and appreciate what you do and give you a little something. Obviously we know that you can take a day off or you can take a $100 credit, a gift card that we give out, and that's your choice, but you're worth it. And we appreciate what you do, and you stay safe every day, and these jobs are not easy all the time. And another thing that I just thought of is the other day, there was a gentleman that had emailed me through the storm, and it's an elderly couple, and they live in a home, and they're in their 80s, and they're trying to fight to stay in their home. They don't want to give up their independence. And you really think about, as we get older, you give up your independence and you have to go somewhere and you rely on your family or you rely on a home, you lose what you feel your mind says you can do, but your body says you can't do anymore. So, it had gone by and cleaned up his home, but the other day he's having a hard time getting his trash can out anymore. And he sent me an email, said that they saw him trying to bring it out in time, got out of the truck, helped him, and now said, just make sure it's there, and I'll make sure it gets back to where it needs to be. So that's the staff we have, and that's what we've got every day. So I could go on forever, but I just want to thank you for everything that you do every day. And, some of it's a dirty job, but we appreciate it, and we are trying to make our systems better. And this council will continue to work. You've got my promise, and I know you've got their promise, that we're going to make our city infrastructure as quick as possible, the best it can be, and keep working. And even like I said over in Village of the Arts, the one nice lady that would email me all the time about the flooding doesn't email me anymore, but she doesn't have to because the flooding is not there. And that's okay that she doesn't email and say it's not flooding, but we'll get through that because, all of us drive through our wards more and more every day, I think, with things that have happened. So, Councilwoman Moore.
Well, I don't want to belabor the point, and I know you all have heard us say it many times, but I can tell you again, hopefully you hear it and you believe it, that that area that Mayor referenced really felt your compassion during that time. Everybody was in shock and everybody was walking around in muck boots and just really aimlessly counting on other people to help, myself included. And everybody told me, every single neighbor that I encountered said, we've never felt like the city has paid that much attention to us as they did as the cleanup effort in between the storms, Helene and Milton. So from the bottom of my heart, I want you to know that you're appreciated.
Councilwoman Barnaby.
Oh, great.
I too had neighbors that got flooded. I got water in parts of my house, but not my entire house. And it's like when you all show up after a storm, it's the cavalry's coming. I have said this numerous times, I'm going to say it one more time. Our citizens may never need a police officer. They may never need the fire department to show up at their house. They might not get a building permit. But they see, and what is the face of their city to them weekly is our Public Works Department. When you have a citizen call and tell you how fabulous they think their garbage people are, and with it being your hometown, it makes you feel good. I know how difficult and how dirty some of these jobs are. But you go, you do them, and you make us proud every day. So thank you. Thank you for choosing to live in the city, to be with the city, to serve our citizens. We appreciate it very, very much.
Vice Mayor Kramer.
Thank you, sir. I've said from probably before I sat here, mainly because of my job before, we only do what we do up here. We can only do what we do as a city because of all of you as our employees. What we're doing today is a small token of our appreciation for everything you all did during the storm and every day. Mr. Moore, I want to call you out especially for what you did for our neighborhood, and for then when I expanded out and was helping down in the village, the organization that all came from your leadership. I appreciate that. I know there's people right now who now are wondering why everything isn't done everywhere. Well, I say you're looking in the county because in the city it's all done. And that's thanks to you all. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Coachman.
How did you know? Okay, I'm going to get through this. Right now, it seems like we're just focusing on all the hard work you did during a storm. I've had family and friends work among you, and each day you do that. Each day you represent this city. You're the ones that the citizens see every day. And you do, I almost said a bad word. You do a fantastic job. And just to know, we appreciate you not just because of today or not just because of a storm, but the hard work you do as ambassadors, technically, for the city.
Thank you. Councilwoman Coker.
Yeah, I had the, I don't know, privilege, whatever. My ward, Ward 1, was not as devastated as some of the other wards. But of course, I still had citizens that had a lot of asks and wants. And I want to tip my hat to you that you still were able to, in the face of all that, get to them as well. And I think that once we let them know, because we would get the calls and let them know what y'all were dealing with in the other wards, hopefully they got a little bit more patient about it. So, but I do thank you, and thank you for what you do all the time. You always make us look good, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, counselors, for recognizing the awesome work that our 270 employees of Public Works do. The comments were really heartfelt and accurate and on point. This was an unprecedented storm season. It started in early August. Each and every storm had unique challenges, with Debbie with rainfall, thereafter with Helene and the surge, particularly into the east side and river areas, and ultimately with Milton, and a combination of different perils, so to speak. And these employees just went above and beyond the call of duty. It's interesting to see it because there were so many individual acts of selflessness and going above and beyond. People literally climbing under floodouts to try to find valves. 3:30 in the morning, we went out with some crews, again, trying to find interconnects, each and every department of Public Works. And Public Works is a very complex department. They do a lot of different things, and so they have to operate from a team approach. We have those acts of individualism, but at the end of the day, it has to be done as a team with the right blocking and tackling. And that's what today is about, because each and every member that's out there made significant positive and constructive contributions to our efforts. And those efforts involved things before the storm of protective measures, things during the storm of response, things after the storm of recovery. And as Councilor Barnaby pointed out, I think when you're a citizen, and you pointed out, Mayor, and you see people's Pokemon collections getting crushed and their lives, the history of their lives and their families' lives, it's very heartfelt. And I think each and every of the people that work for us, proudly represented the city, recognized that, respected it, and gave 110%. And the police department and the fire department and planning as well. So as an administrator for the city, me and Lance, it's our privilege. Nils is going to talk a little bit about the awards itself and take it from there, but I wanted to individually thank each and every member as well as collectively thank them for the awesome work they did. It was obviously unprecedented, a cascade of events like I've never seen before in the emergency management world. And people rose to the occasion, and we should be proud of them. This particular award will bestow basically $100 for a day off. It cost the city about $30,000. It's money well spent. The money will come from what's called wellness funds, and so it's not general fund specific. And I think it's the least we can do to recognize the great work that's been done. So with that, and your permission, Mayor, I'd ask Ms. Taylor to come up.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, City Council. Mr. Perry, Lance, Mr. Williams, thank you very much for this opportunity. The quarterly recognition program is designed to recognize employees and teams that demonstrate outstanding service to the city of Bradenton, our citizens, and co-workers. Today, it gives me great honor to announce that the Public Works and Utilities Department has been selected for this special recognition. They are the unsung heroes who responded during this unprecedented hurricanes, back to back, challenging situations. And they're the ones that said, I am here. What do you need me to do for the city, for our citizens? And some of these employees, they had their own challenges, lost their homes, had flooding. However, they were present. They said, I'm here. I'm going to take care of my city. I'm going to shine with my city. We'll get through this together. So with that said, again, it gives me great honor to announce Public Works and Utilities.
All right, so who's the spokesperson? I know a couple that I've worked diligently with that could come up, but
Perhaps if Irv could bring up
Irv
maybe his
could bring up,
superintendents and some of those folks, Mayor, as
Yes.
representatives.
Thank
You know, it's important to recognize that when we talk about Public Works, there's the solid waste sanitation function that you pointed out, the tireless work they did, but also the fleet section and Garrett, who kept all the vehicles operating, and the gas, as we know, constantly going, as fuel is a critical aspect of operations. The landscaping grounds that Ross and Craig did, the engineering work that Kim and her team did, electrical facilities with Chris and Cody and Don Bruner and his team, streets and drainage, Sean and his team did great work, and obviously with the sewers and water with Greg Jones and Nate Bailey and Andrew and some of those folks, there was a lot of people that were involved in this. And I don't know, I could go on and name probably every one of them out of the 270, but we don't have time for that this morning, unfortunately. Let me pass it back to you if you'd like to say anything, Mayor.
Yes, yeah, just kind of to finish up, and you look at the leaders here, and, yeah, with all of them, and I look at not only people that have been with the city a long time, but several of the ones standing up here now are up-and-coming heroes as we go. Anybody that's willing to dive underneath a puddle of water with the pipe broken and with no scuba gear. We hope his swimming lessons were well, but trying to get it fixed, and you see that happening, and then you see out at 2 o'clock in the morning somebody working on a valve that can't get fixed in a pump station, but trying to put a Band-Aid on it to make it work so it doesn't hurt our environment, and just all the little things, and fleet maintenance, and anything that can be done. It just makes you proud that they're here. And, again, they all showed up no matter when they were asked. And that was what impressed me the most for us, because it was for the citizens. So I just, there's, again, you looking out and guys that have been with us 20 years, it's been their life. It's been their life with the city of Bradenton, and they want to be here another 20 years, and going. So Ross, I don't know. Yeah, so that's what I said with the doctor. But just thank you. And I mean, we can't thank you enough. We can't get everybody up. I mean, we have some operators that do the where we pick up the garbage off the side of the road. What's that called? The crane or
The claw?
the claw that could literally pick up a dime off the ground. And you see that and how clean they can get and keep things working. So again, I could go on, but thank you, Mr. Perry.
And Mayor, I'd just be remiss if I didn't mention some of the awesome support staff, Heather Lutz and Allison Nix and Morgan and Ron Tompkins. They organized things like the water distribution that we saw. They were working behind the scenes, putting the work schedules to make sure we could do A, B shifts. They have what we call the blue sky work and the gray sky work, and they tirelessly worked, to help out supporting this, and secured fuel and sandbag distribution, and played traffic cop out there that you would see. You were out there yourself personally with your wife, which was inspirational, quite honestly, doing sandbags, and we were filling sandbags that Sunday, I remember, and everybody lended a hand, all hands on deck, and I was proud to be part of it. Yep.
All right, so are we going to call everybody up? I mean, everybody needs to get up here at one point after Irv says something, but we want a picture of everybody.
There for a photo, what I was thinking about, perhaps if we could have our leadership this way and then bring everybody in here and we stand up, Mr. Myers may be able to get a nice panoramic shot. Not sure.
Does he have the drone with him today?
He doesn't have the drone. That was obviously used very extensively, right, during the hurricanes. Yeah.
So, Irv, and I know, we welcomed you into a great city coming in, and we appreciate you being here. And you said 100 days. Are we still within 200 days?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
All right.
We'll adjust as needed. But I did want to, again, this is an attitude of gratitude. This is the kind words that you all have spoken I know they were heartfelt, and they are, believe me, received in an attitude of gratitude. This is, we thank you all. This is, as you say, this is our life. This is what we do. And we do it for folks who have said thank you, who show their appreciation for the hard work and the diligence. And again, what you see here, this is the heart, the salt of this city. And we just want to continue to move us forward. And we appreciate this recognition. I know there are some who are rejoicing over national championships and are looking forward to the Super Bowl, but I tell you what, they can't. I'm honored to have a team like this, a team of champions, to continue to support this city. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Williams.
Yeah. Just real quick, I don't want to repeat what everybody's already said, but I'm extremely proud of this group, extremely proud to be a part of it. The leadership that we have is phenomenal. I just want to make sure we don't have representation from our water plant or our reclamation facility here today. Also battled through the storms, battle every day to make sure our citizens have water, and we can take what they do with that water away from them. So I just want to make sure that they're noted as well. But just, again, very, very proud and extremely happy to call this a good family and very honored to work with them.
Good, thank you. So why don't we call everybody up, get behind.
If you guys could
front
do
of
it at a
us.
45-degree angle, it makes it much tighter. Couple people in the middle, then 45-degree angle. Yep.
That's all we ever had.
If you guys could line up, probably, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people, so we might need 2 lines of people behind our superintendents and supervisors. Perfect. You're doing great. Yep.
Oh, yeah, you're giving up. Probably will not ever be tall enough.
Probably should have the drone. Yep. Have them do what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
45-degree angle, act like you like each other.
Right. 45-degree angles, tight, tight, tight. It's only going to hurt for a minute. Say out now.
Let's do this, Lisa.
On your toes, Leo.
Come on, everybody, get in here. We want everybody in the picture.
We got plenty of space down here.
Yeah, plenty of room in the
Scooch
back
in,
line.
scooch in,
Everybody
keep
back
going.
up a little bit. Yep, leave.
Watch the camera, but back up. Oh,
What the hell is this thing?
I saw the tongue coming in. Like,
Oh, it is quacky. Yeah, base, right? Yeah.
I think he's doing a panoramic. All right, Scott, get in here.
Oh, I'm tapping your phone.
David Myers, give us the call from the back, please. Keep the duck away from Myers.
Here we go.
If you're taking a day off, don't everybody take the same day.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Jack, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. You doing well, bud? Good, good. Don't worry about it, man.
Waka.
Great work, buddy. Keep it up. Yep.
Where are you? There you are. You gonna come say hi?
Wait. Why does he have a St. Augustine sweatshirt on? We need more Bradenton gear.
He can literally
What?
pick up a dime. Because he needed something warm when he went.
That's crazy.
He just like this. I mean, he doesn't know what he does.
It's pretty nice.
Because you gotta have it. It's still.
You gotta have the practice.
But sometimes you realize
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, are you get back in that house? Or did you move? Good. Well, he was a bad one. Good. We appreciate you doing it. Oh, good. So you looked there easy. Yeah. No, well, good. Well,
Where were
thank
you?
for coming out. Just down from you.
Okay.
Going out all hours of the night.
And you stay in the neighborhood?
Oh, yeah.
there's plenty of room for y'all back there now.
Blame them for asking.
Plenty of room.
Can't prepare for 2 to 3 feet. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
More about safety. All right, Amber, well, thanks for
Thanks, Philip. Mr. Campbell. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, we're working with like the building department, building officials, supposedly. But usually it ends up being the fire marshal.
Good to see you.
Now we're starting to clear those tanks.
Well, I can see you, man.
Not waste. But like, you want to
Still,
shower.
God knows what
You
all.
want to shower and clear.
Yeah, it's
Clorox
all-
afterwards.
Everything that's coming off.
Mr. Mayor, may I real quick?
Yes, sir, Mr.
So
Williams.
just real quick, we keep talking about this person that's in the water. So this is our person, Mr. Phil Campbell. And if you look on your screen now, that is what he was in, trying to find a valve to shut off a water main to repair it. So when you think about what these guys do every day, that's what they do every day.
Well, and also, you know, that every day, and one of the things that I was so impressed early on when we had Debbie, we were trying to figure out how to cross-connect the water with the county, the valves that may have never been turned in 20 years that we found. Well, Phil was out there with the county employees, so we want to thank our county counterparts that we were able to find it, get it together to help keep producing the best tasting water that we could at that moment, because we did have the breach of the Braden River above our dam. But thank you. And there's not a time that I drive by something and see a truck, whether it's 7 o'clock on a Saturday night or any time, Phil's there making sure his crew will get it done, but he's also willing to dive underneath, you know, so I don't know if we need scuba gear now, but
Let's hope not.
turn in a requisite. So, thank you.
And one more thing, how many 300 games have you bowled? Two. Yeah. How about that?
Focus, that's what it is, it's focus. Yes,
Is that picture made public? I think
yeah, it
our
was on,
citizens
it
need to
it was
know.
on our, yeah.
It was on
out.
Facebook?
Yeah,
I don't think I ever saw that.
yeah,
That's
it was,
just,
it got out.
it really kind of encapsulates how they went the extra mile.
All right, we've got to still have a business meeting, so that's a good thing. Now we're at the part of citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting and on any non-agenda item, future agenda items, or topic of relevance to the city. Comments will be accepted on the public hearings at the appropriate time. And when you come forward, please state your name, and you will have 3 minutes. And we first have Christy Haley. And that doesn't look like Christy Haley.
Christy.
Ducky.
Quack.
I understood
Good
it.
morning, everyone. Are y'all having a quacktastic day?
Yes, ma'am.
We are so excited to be partnering with the city of Bradenton, and we cannot thank you enough for helping us grow our race after we had a little bit of a catastrophe with the hurricanes, with caddies. And this is going to give us the platform to make our race bigger and better and to grow every year. So we've brought you all some gifts. Are you excited? Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
These are signifying our move down to
Thank you.
Bradenton, city of Bradenton. These will be handed out to all of our sponsors. We're hoping everyone will join the wave with
Thank
us.
you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming down.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, just wait.
Thank you.
Quacky, watch your step over here.
Thank you. That is cute.
If my grandniece was here, this would be history.
Good Lord.
Take it, it'd be gone.
One last thing, Mayor Jean, we have a special gift for you. Are you ready?
okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Definitely, I'll wear that.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So cute.
It's going to be a quacktastic year. Again, thank you so much for your partnership. We truly appreciate it. Because of you, more girls' lives will be saved, and we can't thank you enough. So, coming up soon, duck season. It's opening March 1st. Adopt a duck, help a girl. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Wiley Green. Please come forward, state your name and your town of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Wiley Green,
City of Bradenton, 2015, 25th Avenue West. Tell you, hate to come up here now after such all those wonderful remarks and comments, and got a chance to see some guys I haven't seen in 20 or 30 years. So it's good that they're still here and continuing to be in leadership positions where they were laborers when I was coming through at that time. So it's good. They were glad, smiling to see me as I was glad to see them as well. One of the things I was wanted to talk about was are they going to be evening council meetings back again this year? I know we used to have it once a month. I don't know why we made the change, but it perhaps would help me and some others sometime if we can't make the morning meeting. Another concern was about the land adjacent to the water reclamation on 17th Avenue. I don't know if we're selling it or leasing it to the county, but I thought we was going to hold on to that to maybe for emergencies or expansion of the plant, because I think it would be needed in the future. And also with us also having problems with the plant, I know we're trying to rectify what has happened in the past administrations, but I was just wondering, can we do like with some of the water breaks to let the citizens and others know that when we do have that situation where we do have to release the water, maybe it can come up within a few hours instead of a few weeks or a few days on the cityofbradenton.com, sort of like they do with the water breaks, and that way it may keep a lot of stuff out of the propaganda section, and hopefully we'll be fixing enough soon and we won't have to face these problems anymore. Also, I was just wondering, can we get a deadline for projects that's in my particular area, the 2400 block of 25th Avenue? I know Mr. Lee and others have been working, but we just can't get a deadline on when this is going to start on the infrastructure. Some of you all have been hearing me for years, and now you're in your second term and you're still hearing me talk about this project. And I know that's slow, but that's not fixing it or fixing it. Also, again, we would like to ask that you will continue to encourage our employees and thank you for a job that you have been doing. Hopefully, we can face and fix it, the little problem that we're having at the church. I mean, it seemed as though it was retaliation and discrimination, but maybe it wasn't. But it just seemed that way when I had mentioned other problems. Then that came up, and we like evicted from the land, no more parking.
All right,
Thank you for your time.
First off, we have no more citizen comment that I have. So, and as we do with citizen comment, we wait till all citizen comment is done before we comment. So with Pace Center for Girls, with obviously they would always have it at Caddy's, and the duck celebration and fundraiser, which again then helps them be able to help more young ladies and been to several of their graduations, and it's such a great spirit to see when you can help a young lady change her life and get to that next step. Any children of those points, but we were able to bring it down to Riverwalk right in front of the day dock and work it out where it'll work out perfectly in a timing situation. When this council approved the executive budget, there was some extra money for funds in those things that we were able to use some of that to help support it. And I know others, and anybody that wants to, that's out there that wants to give a donation or buy a duck or whatever they want to do, it's available. It's easy to just go on their website and figure it out, because that's become such a great event to not only celebrate what they do, but also celebrate what we want to continue in the city of Bradenton with events. Because we know as things go on and move other places, it doesn't celebrate Bradenton like we want it to be, and to continue that good spirit. So that is something great, and we're going to keep it going, and we'll keep seeing how we can maybe keep it in the future there as time goes on. So thank you to all that Pace Center for Girls does, and hopefully, even though their building isn't in the city, it's close to the city, right down the street, they're going to,
Well, they're new.
they're new ones, and they're not going to be, but It's only a couple blocks outside the city on 26th Street there, and I saw a portalet on it the other day, so that means they're getting ready to build the building. So, and that, but congratulations on that, and that's going to help a lot of our young ladies and families in the future, so thank you. Any comments, Ms. Barnaby?
Well, Quacky, I just wanted to say thank you for the Jeep and the duck, and I guess, did you put these on your bill? Come on, my version of a dad joke, come on.
All right, thank you to Pace Center for Girls. Talking about a couple of things Mr. Wiley had brought up, I do want to answer to the one about our reclamation plant, that we did not own the property next to the plant. Even the immediate adjacent property right next to it was still in a county-city agreement, and anything farther west of that area where we had the haulers bringing the debris onto it that is now clean, we had an agreement that we did several years ago that the county felt that they still had the right to take that back. We worked it out that we were able to keep that portion, and we were trying to work with the county maybe to go farther west, but they already had plans for their doggy daycare, so that was already in the process, so we did not own that property. We would have liked to have, but it was a county-owned property all around there. So we were able to keep at least the portion that we can do some things that we are working for future improvement to that plant area. And then the other things, I don't know, Mr. Kramer was writing a few things down. Did you have anything to address on that specifically? I don't.
No.
And obviously,
I mean, Mr. Green and I have been in communication a lot
Yeah.
about the project back to when Mr. McClellan was here, and I know Mr. Lee and his staff, we've been in talks too, so it's, you know, it's on the list. We're working towards a solution, and I've driven through there, and I know after storms, there's a lot of need for it.
And obviously, there is no retaliation of any kind that is important to see. Because again, we try to work with somebody, but we also have a responsibility of stormwater, and that has been, I think, probably gone up a millionfold since the last 6-8 months, that stormwater is creating our wastewater problem. And, you know, when you have the bypasses, it's the majority of the bypass is mixed in with the wastewater. So if we didn't have the stormwater infiltration, we would still have some issues on our plant we would be updating, but it wouldn't be the volumes that we're having and some of the other issues. So we are working aggressively through that, and the plan that, you know, we're willing to face it and fix it and put it out there, and I think continue to work. And I know we had a great meeting yesterday with staff and Mr. Perry, Mr. Williams, and Colonel Lee and others, that we're working. We're trying to do things. And how fast, believe me, there's not a person up here that doesn't believe in government. The wheels of government work in reverse, sometimes it feels like, not forward. So it is something that timing is important to all of us, and we're going to keep doing that. Mr. Perry?
Just briefly, Mayor, Mr. Williams, myself, and Public Works staff had a meeting Monday, actually, morning at 10 o'clock, and the church property and the flood control project that's on site and behind it came up. And one of the issues is that trying to get a contractor to do the project, and we had the meeting with Woodruff, who's a continuing services contractor for us, and they're trying to put it onto their work schedule. I will say that frankly, there are some more priority projects in front of it that are very, very significant because of the need to have them done. But I'm hopeful that Woodruff can get to that project probably within, I don't know, I'd say 4 or 5 months. There's some conflict on the engineering regarding some utility that's existing in the back of the property, but ultimately they think that it won't be the type of conflict that would not be insurmountable with field adjustment, basically, by the construction in the field. Ultimately, as Mr. Green knows, I met with him out on the site. I think it was the first couple months I was here, and we looked at it. I got with Jim, and he got with his folks, and they put together a concept plan to identify a strip of land that is immediately adjacent to Mr. Green's church for parking purposes. Ultimately, when we completed the engineering, they needed a little bit more land. When we had the initial assessment, we did an appraisal on the property. It came back at $100,000. And the good news is that if we have to take a little bit more, and I want to say it was like 7 feet or 12 feet, it wasn't very much more to meet the engineering specs for volume, then what's left over really will not be marketable as a lot or any other use. And so I would think that ultimately the valuation on that will endure significantly to Mr. Green's benefit when we are through. I know it takes a little bit of time. I know he's heard it for a while, and he has, frankly. But unfortunately, this particular project has been on a moderate but not accelerated basis because of the type of flood control it is. It's a bioswale. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted a little clarification. I heard you say you're not being allowed to park now next to the church?
No.
No.
When I'm saying it seemed as though.
All right, it's time, we just don't want to start, so, an engagement.
Oh, okay. Well,
for
I
business
just
reasons,
wanted
but-
to know what
but
that
yeah,
meant.
so they are allowed to park.
Okay.
I've been out to the site personally. I didn't think it impaired the parking, which is immediately, I want to say, west of the church.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Okay.
so.
I just
yeah,
wanted
Most of the
that's some
aggregate
other
is far to the west, but I can get with Mr. Green to see if there's
Yeah,
something we can do.
something we can help with
Councilwoman.
that,
Yep.
so, all right, perfect. All right, so that's all the citizen comment. I think one thing we want to do, since the city is going to be a sponsor with Pace Center, we want to get a picture of Ducky up here with all of us behind him, so come on forward. Yeah. So, yep.
Sponsor a duck, like as a group, the city get a bigger duck?
Big duck, all right, so we'll get Quacky up here and kind of come in front of us without squeeze together, turn sideways, 45-degree angle.
We are breaking records once again. 33,000 ducks is our goal. Sold out 31 last year. You want Quacky on the end?
Right here in the middle,
I'm
get in
not sure
front
if
of
we
us.
can see you if Quacky's-
We're fine, we'll spread out.
You'll spread
Yeah,
Turn
we'll
right
go,
there.
we'll go around
We'll spread
Quacky.
around, yeah.
Okay.
Except for Lisa.
I know,
You wanna come
yeah.
this way?
There you
I
go.
want to go this way.
Get away from the back.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, say tail feathers.
Look at this angle, yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, we got it.
Just makes you smile.
We do bring a lot of joy.
It's a fun event.
Yeah.
All right, moving forward, Madam Clerk.
Item 6 is the consent agenda, and staff is requesting approval of items A through L.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right,
I'd like,
any further
Comment?
discussion before we comment? Yes, ma'am?
yeah, I just wanted to clarify regarding the charging stations that we're approving for the garage, those are being done at the cost of freebie. That's not at the cost of the CRA or at the cost of the city, so.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1.
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Madam Clerk?
Item 8A is emergency procurement report.
All right, is that Mr. Williams, Mr. Perry?
Mayor, thank you. I believe attached to your papers today that Ms. Melton had handed out, the only individual item that we've recently received as an emergency procurement. It was from Mr. Peterson. It involves a series of work on Wears Creek that was related to hurricane remediation. It was, I believe, in the amount of $48,000. And it was, again, a series of different pieces of work, including Manatee Ave, all the way progressing with other types of mangrove clearing and riverway clearing and flow and environmental conditions heading from, obviously, Manatee Avenue on Wears Creek south. And so with that, I just figured it's my responsibility to bring to your attention as the last item that we received as an emergency procurement that was approved by myself and needs to be brought to council's attention at the next meeting, which is being done here too and the procurement was done on 1/10/25. If you have any questions, let's do it.
And to say that clearing, it wasn't mangrove clearing, it was more cleaning out.
I believe it was.
Yeah, it wasn't, because you say mangrove clearing, you may get people wondering
Good point, yeah.
if we're clearing. It's just more of cleaning debris that
Right.
flowed into the Wares Creek area. And if you drive by there, at times on low tide, you can see big stumps and branches that we had to get out to keep the waterway open. So, did we need an approval just to?
No, sir.
Just, it's just
It's just
for
my
knowledge, that's what I
requirement
thought,
for
so.
endurance, yeah.
Okay, all right, any questions of Mr. Perry?
Question for you, sir.
Yes, sir, Vice Mayor.
Is this just from this last bit of storms, or is this sort of a full assessment of Wares Creek? Because I know that there was, back before I took office, I had people talk to me about stuff in the
Debris in the area, yeah.
in the creek.
I can't specifically say that some of it wasn't related to pre-existing conditions
Okay.
that had been there, but my understanding was the vast majority of it was related to storm debris.
Okay.
And I know a couple of years back with Keep Manatee Beautiful, they did a special cleanup
Right.
in that area where we actually had canoes and kayaks, and we went through and picked a lot of, not only trash, which they, that's what Keep Manatee Beautiful does, but we also got big branches and different things. And so that's, hopefully through this storm, it cleaned out a lot, and it won't have to be as much, but there's still always gonna be some debris that gets in.
And to the mayor's point about the clearing, I think a few years back, we actually did obtain a permit and did some clearing in there.
To open up,
To
because
open it up, yeah, that was my
that's one of the
understanding.
waterways that comes from outside the county in through the city. And that was one of our lift stations that we were having problems with around there from a lot of I&I that hopefully some of the pipes have been lined and are working better as we go through. So, all right, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll go to the next. Madam Clerk?
Mayor?
Oh, yes, sir.
I have one more item under new business that I think is worthy of mentioning. Of course, as council knows, we have a workshop scheduled for
Yes.
next week.
Why don't we
And-
wait till after we get the speed
Yeah,
camera?
perfect. We'll do it
update.
afterwards. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, yeah, and then we'll finish off with that. So, Mr. Giddens is gonna come forward, and I hope he doesn't turn sideways, because we'll lose him then.
Yeah.
So you look great.
Good morning, Mayor Council. This is your annual report for the Red Speed Camera Program. There's a few things I need to read in the record for the comply with the statute. So I try to give you a bit of a comprehensive overview of how the program began and where we're at.
Maybe just state your name and who you are.
Jeremy Giddens, City of Bradenton, Bradenton Police Department, Red Speed Program. In short, we deployed the Red Speed cameras. We were somewhat delayed with some of the storms. And in total for 2024, we issued 192 violations. Of those, 101 were paid. There were no citations contested, none dismissed, none that were contested and upheld, and one notice of violation that reverted to a UTC, and there is none that was pending for 2024. And that is your report. I can answer any questions, and again, I try to give you a brief overview with the memo that was attached.
All right, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I definitely was in favor of this, anything to make our kids safer. But I am wondering, because all the schools have different times, it's varying speeds in the different school zones. I'm very concerned about properly notifying, the notification to the buyer, what exactly speed they need to be going and when they need to be doing it. And I have very limited, but the ones that I drive through, really more in West Bradenton and on Manatee Ave, there are no blinking lights, there are no posted time signs. And so I just could see having a problem if you issue a citation to someone that they weren't really properly notified of what it should have been. So I didn't know if anybody's addressing that or if there's been any look at this. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I just, I just worry that we'll do all this and then there'll be legal challenges and then we'll pull them out like they did before with the red light cameras.
We've worked with the vendor Red Speed. There are signages that's up. We've tried to market out those times. You are correct, depending on the school and the location, those times might vary. There is signage there. I think we've met all the obligations. The timing was mirrored. We worked with Public Works in Manatee County to ensure that the timing for the cameras match up to that timing for the school zones for each area. So we've done everything that we can to adhere to that and make sure we've marketed that out and it's visible. I can continue to reinforce that, and we can ensure that we're continuing publicizing that.
And I think one of the, Mr. Kramer.
Well, I just wanted, on your point of Manatee Avenue, I think it was addressed in there are no official school zones on Manatee Avenue. There's school areas, but even though at Manatee Avenue East by Manatee Elementary, which 100% should be a school zone, DOT has not approved that to be a school zone.
That is correct. And just to add to that, we did work with Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT. We have asked them to conduct studies on State Road 64. They have completed the study in front of Jesse P. Miller. They've determined that that doesn't meet the requirements based on their pedestrian counts and vehicle counts. They are continuing to study in front of Manatee Avenue on State Road 64. And I'm waiting for that report to come back to determine if they're going to designate that as a state road, or I'm sorry, if they're going to determine that as a school zone on the state road. The one camera that's not active is on 15th Street East, which is a designated state road. It's alternate State Road 70. That has been permitted already, and it is already designated school zone, but we don't have the cameras installed yet. That's the only one that's pending.
And, you know, I know we have to work through DOT, but obviously 43rd Street and Manatee Avenue over the last 36 years, 26 years, I've seen quite a bit of that intersection. And I know of one crossing guard that got hit because somebody ran a red light because they were hurrying. And then I also have been sitting, waiting to turn onto 43rd off Manatee Avenue and got sick to my stomach a couple of times from close incidents where people are speeding and running through it and almost hitting children. So when you see that and you question these cameras, and I'm not saying we are, but I'm just saying with the social media out there and that, not only are they speeding, they're not paying attention, and kids cross the road with the crossing guard and still have opportunity. And it's 11 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. And I don't know if there is a vehicle out there now that doesn't have the little speed limit white thing on their dash that tells you where you are and how fast the speed limit is. You know, because today's cars do that. Also, most of them have it where it says you're in a school zone now, you know, that if it's activated, or your phone does. So my whole approval of this, and I mean, everybody knows out there how I felt with red light cameras, because I had 2 friends killed by red light runners that wouldn't have been saved from the old days, red light cameras. But the new technology on red light cameras is saving lives. And that's the most important thing that we do in setting policy up here, is try to save lives. Through our storms, we were very proactive at what we did through our police, fire, public works, administration to make sure people were safe through the storms, and we didn't lose a life in Manatee County and the city of Bradenton through those storms because people took the warnings in that. So I just think this is one of those things. Mrs. Barnaby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Manatee Elementary is also on Manatee Avenue. Have we done a speed study out there, or is there a camera out there?
Manatee on State Road 64 East?
Correct.
Yeah, that is the study that's still in process with the Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay, so we have not gotten information back on that yet.
My understanding, in speaking with them as a recent of last week, their first study, whatever their criteria was, it seemed to have met that threshold. They're continuing to study it, and I should have a report back within a couple of weeks that I'll be able to share. I think State Road 64 in front of Manatee Avenue, or Manatee Elementary, is a very heavy traveled thoroughfare, and you know, we have quite a few vehicles out there that are speeding.
Right.
But we have to wait for them to go ahead and designate that as a school zone.
It's very interesting reading some of the posts on social media. I honestly think everybody thinks that it's okay to be going 40 or 50 miles an hour throughout our city, and there's very few places where it is posted 50 miles an hour. People complaining that, you know, they didn't know they were going to get a ticket. Again, I think there's been a lot of coverage on this. I know that Captain Thiers and myself did at least 3 media interviews prior to it taking effect. And you only get a ticket if you, as the mayor says, if you're going 11 miles over what is the regular posted speed limit. So again, I find that it's, I guess, unless we keep posting it 874 times on Instagram and Facebook, people aren't going to realize that's what triggers the tickets. My other question I have is, and I don't know if it's for you or for Mr. Perry, what are the budgetary implications of, how much money are we getting in, and how are we going to use this? What are the implications of how is this going to affect our budgeting?
Mayor, Councilor Barnaby, so first off, the purpose of this was this school zone safety program and speed zone camera program wasn't for fiscal revenue. It was for pedestrian safety. It was for school zone safety and traffic safety. That was, I believe, the intent of the legislature, and I think that was the policy intent of both the department and council. However, several $1 million were budgeted, attributable to what estimates were on how much this program would bring in. And thus far, the program is not fully functional. It's in its infancy stages to a certain extent. And so we don't have specifics on a year-to-year basis looking at full implementation of whether it'll meet that specific target of revenue that was projected by the police department. We heard about 192 tickets being issued thus far. I think that it incorporates a certain period of time, and I don't know exactly what that was, and there's 101 that were paid. Out of that payment, some of the money goes to the county and some of it goes back to the operator, and there's about 4 other folks that get a cut of that money, and ultimately the city gets a share as well. I asked Mr. Williams to actually look at where we are thus far as how much we actually have collected, where the money went, and how much basically goes to the police department as well as to the general fund of the city. Because one of the issues is that if that money is not realized at the end of the year on a continuing basis, it's going to have to come out of the revenue side of the budget, and it's going to represent a shortfall in our budget. So it's important to recognize that.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So to date, and this is the most current report that Finance has, and this ends, the last deposit that we had was actually on 1/18 of 25. So this goes from 12/8 of 24 to 1/18 of 25, and to date, we've taken in $11,600, and out of that, the city nets about 60%. So we're just shy of $7,000 out of the tickets paid. We have, so Mr. Perry talked about others that get revenue. So half a percent goes to pay for crossing guards, which obviously is on our budget. 12% goes to the school district, and 23% goes to the state through their Department of Revenue General Fund and then the Department of Revenue Law Enforcement Fund. And that's all paid out of that. And then obviously Red Speed, as the vendor, gets a portion as well. They get 21%.
So I'll just make a comment on that, and then we'll go to Mrs. Moore. Obviously, this program was going to roll out a lot earlier. Hurricanes, connections, you see people complaining about there's generators on them. Well, that's because Florida Power and Light was a little busy for several months that are now getting on it. So it may roll out slower than it was, but, and I mean, I would, if we had to figure it out and not budget anything next year because people were obeying the law, then that would be good because it would be safety. But we know that that's not going to probably work into the way that we know. And again, the whole goal is not punishment, it's compliance. And when you see people going through a 35 or 40 mile an hour at 60 and 70 in a school zone area where kids could be out, all day at times, and especially when they're going to school and coming from school, it's 11 miles an hour over. just obey the law. If there was an officer there, they would write you a ticket as well. But, you know, we just got to obey the law, and the financial part of it will work its out over the year once everything is in, you know, working and going.
The only thing I would add is confirming that the program was delayed. The storms FPL, we actually wound up moving our cameras over to solar because there was just such a delay with getting power points and then permitting and what have you. So you only have probably about a little more than 30 days worth of data for the 100+ citations on 2 locations. What I can share with you is I pulled the numbers this morning. Since the cameras have been active after school, we've had 938 violations since January 6th.
I'm sorry, please repeat that.
938 notice of violations.
Since January 6th?
Since January 6th. So to bring it into perspective, while this is not a program that is aimed for monetary gain or anything like that, it is for safety. The program was delayed. You have a very small set of data for the 2024, and we're beginning to see those numbers and what the true data will look like moving forward. Certainly, we'll know that more in a couple of more weeks.
Mrs. Moore.
My recollection at the time that we passed it was that we recognized that we wouldn't consistently have a lot of, you know, that the way that it was going to work was in order to modify behavior, that you might see a spike of violations, but then it should, as people modify their behavior, even out. And I don't recall that there was a fiscal impact at that time and as part of the discussion. So I guess just to clarify the potential shortfall, like how do we get there? Are we being charged something ongoing without corresponding violations?
No, there was several, Mayor, Councilor Gonzalez Moore, there was several memorandums sent, as I remember, regarding what the projections were for revenue. At the end of the day, the way we build a budget is your revenues have to equal expenses. That's the accounting kind of crux of it. And so I believe it was nearly $3 million in revenue was attributable to this program. I think the original estimates were closer to $5 to $6 million in revenue. And we said, let's be conservative because we don't know about these things as far as the spikes and when it's going to come on and whether there's going to be delay. And so that's what was initially basically recommended to be programmed into the police revenue budget, was the $3 million. And we have to give it time. And as the mayor said, there's different things that can come up. But it's a significant number. And at the ultimately, at the end of the day, if it's significantly less than that, that's a shortfall that will have to be made up. That's something else that can't be done or otherwise, or can't be spent. There were certain expenditures, and it gets into some fairly complex analysis of some of those expenditures that I probably don't want to go that deep a dive in right here. But that's a little bit about the issue.
Well, but also, I'll comment on knowing quite a bit about it, is it is not a budget balancer. Sometimes you try, because we have to have a budget balanced, balanced budget, but it wasn't put in to say, okay, we're going to balance the budget. If the police department has an issue and we don't hit that target, then there may not be as many cars that we get that meet the criteria. We can't replace this money with other budget items. It has to go towards newer cars that are electric. It has to go towards crossing guards. It has to go towards safety and environmental things. So if something comes up and the police miss their budget, then there may be some things that they may have to figure out what to do. But that's on the police department through their budget and making sure it happens. If it doesn't happen, if it goes over, then there's an issue that they will deal with at that point, how it will flow in. That's my understanding of it. And, you know, I mean, I feel that since Captain Giddens, retired Captain Giddens came back, that it's well worth the effort to try to do what we're doing.
As for a safety initiative, I think it is going to meet our target of trying to get drivers to recognize school zones and to slow down. And I think when you put that into context, if we don't see those numbers and we actually see modified behavior, then we've met our goal and we've accomplished what we wanted, which is to increase visibility and safe driving within the school zones.
And if you look at the county numbers right now, they're in the thousands, and they were a little bit ahead of us
I believe 8,200 was theirs as of this morning.
This month. Yeah, 8,200 in the county. So again, let's modify that behavior so we don't have to be sitting up here thinking about a fatality or an injury from someone in our school zone. All right, any other questions? Thank you for the report. Now, Mr. Perry, you had another comment about the workshop?
Yes, sir. Just briefly, we do have the workshop scheduled. We are going to be assembling the final agenda. We want to look at wastewater. We want to look at sanitation and paving programs, as well, as a good deal of the public works issues and infrastructure planning and the like. And so I think that'll be helpful. Some of the comments I have received from individual counselors is like, we'd like to get more information and have a little bit more understanding of the needs and plans of the department and the administration. And I've spoken with you directly and try to coordinate that. So hopefully we'll have some good information at that. And it may be one of several meetings we have, frankly.
Yeah, over the next few months, we're going to have probably several workshops to keep working through because some of it's fluid. And I know on next week, Wednesday, we're going to have planning department giving a report, some
Right.
visioning. We will talk about some other things that, opportunity for the council to make a decision at a future council meeting that we can talk about. So, we probably, plan on this meeting being several hours. It won't be, a short meeting, probably 2-3 hours. And we'll try to make it, I'm going to try to work the workshops where we will be done before lunchtime, but if they need to go longer, we will. So. All right, anything else, Mr. Perry?
No, sir.
All right, any other department heads that have anything? All right, we'll go to council reports. We'll start in Ward 2.
Hope everyone is enjoying this brief respite of very cold weather, and just remember this in July, August, and September. But I will be having a meeting with the HOA Association at Cortez Villas in February, and am working on a couple of other organizational meetings for some neighborhoods as well.
Good, thank you. Ward 3.
Thank you, sir. Not a lot to pass on, really. We obviously have these little flyers here for the fair, which goes through the end of the weekend. So if you have the ability to make it over there, it's always a good time. Stay dry and
Couldn't do that last
stay
time.
warm. Good luck. I guess I would be remiss if I did not congratulate Mr. Williams and Mr. DeLong. I don't see him sitting here on their Ohio State Buckeyes victory over Mr. Perry's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It was a lose-lose situation for me. But my wife's family.
Oh, no.
Yeah, my wife's family's all Ohio State. Either just they're from Ohio, so they have to be Ohio. It's state law. You have to be a fan up there. But I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank
No
the
comments.
coaches.
No comments.
All right. Ward 4, Ms. Moore.
I'm looking forward to next week's workshop. I specifically can't wait to hear about planning's report and also the discussion on public works and how we can be better informed about the projects and ongoing prioritization of them. I think it would help me quite a bit. I have several conversations with Mr. Perry and Mr. Williams regarding issues that I see in Ward 4 that are probably also common issues in other wards. Lift stations in Ward 3, seawalls in Ward 2. There's a lot of programming, I think, that's coming up, and from a state and federal level, and I know that the lobbyists are going to help us identify those opportunities, but I would like to see us proactively go after those funds because Not to diminish the sympathy and compassion I have for other states who are also suffering from really horrendous, catastrophic natural disasters, but we're going to be now in competition with those states for those funds. And so I think it's really important that we are pretty aggressive in that regard. One of them I was going to highlight is this Elevate Florida program, which is a state-funded program. And I was going to post about it on my public Facebook page and Instagram because it has two components. So one component is, of course, the municipal side, procuring funds that then can be used from citizens who apply to help them build more sustainable residences. But also there's an individual component to it as well. So individuals can directly apply to the program for funds as well. So that's just like a community FYI to anyone who might be looking for that type of programming. I think many of us are. I also was going to mention that I did a police ride-along last week, which was a lot of fun. There was some harder things to watch, but it was really great to see the way that the officers handled that, the more difficult, challenging calls that we responded to. It was also really great to just talk to them and see them in their environment and see what they're facing and how they deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So I know that invitation was extended to all of us, and I'm sure the rest of you all will enjoy it as well. I look forward to doing it again at some regular interval. And I also felt like I learned a lot about the city, because we started in Ward 4, but then, we definitely found time to branch out and go to different areas of the city and see what they're having to deal with. And then one final thing I was going to mention is the Back to Angola Festival, which is on our consent agenda for approving the event at Mineral Springs Park, which is now, because it had to be rescheduled because it was originally held in October. So it's going to be in mid-March now, and they are looking for funding. And so I know that they're in conversations with both the CRA and city staff in that regard. So I just wanted to bring up that might be something that you all will be hearing about upcoming shortly. And I believe that's it for me for now.
Thank you. Mrs. Coachman.
Thank you. Kind of to piggyback on what you were saying about the festival, there are some things, some other festivals in the works as well. And I think it's the multicultural heritage. Now, it may be in Palmetto, I'm not sure. I keep hearing conflicting things, but that is also something to enjoy or look forward to enjoying. I hope everyone enjoyed Monday. Monday was a very busy, full day celebrating MLK, Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Senior. Anyway, and also the big inauguration and all the celebration that comes with that. So fun times that have passed and fun times in the future. I want to say that, Mayor, I really enjoyed your State of the City presentation was that last week? Mm-hmm. Last Wednesday, wow. Prior to you going up, most of the mayors had to kind of talk a lot of doom and gloom, sort of, and I mean that was just the reality. But it was uplifting when you presented the things that we are looking forward to, and it made me feel proud to be among everyone as we work towards that. So thank you for that. You did. Your ride-along. I am looking forward to a ride-along as well. I get to see our police department up close and personal quite a bit on my street or down the block or something like that. So I'm looking forward to being in that seat. I mean, not to say I haven't sat in my son's truck, but it is. I think it's great that has been offered, because I think, we watch TV and we see things and we say, oh, that's not in Bradenton. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Chicago, Detroit, New York, they don't have anything on Bradenton. And our department really works hard. A lot of you don't get to see it or feel it, but I sleep better at night when I see one of those cars drive, down the street with the cruise lights on now. So you really know that's them. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And I hope everyone takes the time to do that and see see it through the lens of law enforcement. See your friendly city. Oh, and I want to find out, and it sounds like the workshop is going to answer a lot of questions that I have, and that's where are we now? I do want to ask if just the day-to-day repairs that we need done, are we at the point where we can meet those challenges now?
I'll talk a little bit.
Okay.
When we get to
Okay,
it.
well, just letting you know that that's on my mind. And I'm just looking forward to the workshop. I have a feeling it's going to answer a lot of questions and give us some information. Because I always sometimes feel like I'm kind of in a, I feel like there's things going on and I don't know what they are. And that's not a good feeling when the public comes up and asks you a question. You're like, I don't know, let me get back with you, which is okay too. Ward 5 is alive.
Mrs. Coker.
Yes. I have had the opportunity to meet with a couple of my homeowners associations in Ward 1, and as I had referenced before, we didn't take the brunt that some of the other areas did, but still, we all still felt the loss, and it had to deal with debris and all that. And I have to say, the feedback from these HOAs, they all recognize it. That y'all really, and by comparison with other areas, especially now with what you're seeing, I think that the city needs to be applauded. I think they did an amazing job. And I think that our citizens feel it. I really do. And I would like to encourage any other HOAs. I do like to come and, put a voice and even if I don't know, I can find out and be there for you. That's why I'm here. So I would encourage you to reach out to me. I'm happy to attend your meetings. This time of year is always, there is so much to do. It's fun, and everybody's coming into town. So keep an eye on the calendar. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I put them in my update. We've got the Founders Club Cup block party that's coming February 2nd, so that's very soon. For the LPGA tour and tournament that's coming. February the 22nd, the regatta, you got a regatta. And then we have the Pirates Pep Rally, which is February the 15th. So bam, bam, bam. And then Realize Bradenton at the Farmers Market this past weekend just unveiled BAM Fest, which is going to be an event that's going to basically engage the entire river walk from bridge to bridge. I keep an eye on that. That's going to be not until April, but I just love this time of the year. There's something for everybody. There's something to do. So thank you to all that make it all happen. Oh, the fair. Yes, don't forget the fair. It's going on now until the 26th.
Thank you. Before I give my report, I'd like to call Officer Small up. He's looking at me like, oh no, what's going on? And he's got pants on. He's got pants on, not shorts, so. Not today. All right, so I saw a picture online of somebody in Washington, D.C. So why don't, if you don't mind, and I know we didn't talk about this, but give us a little update of what happened up there, and it's an honor to go.
Absolutely.
And so maybe give us a little information about that.
So we were supposed to be on the parade route, but due to the parade being canceled, we were moved to a perimeter location around the Capital One Arena. So, where we were posted, we didn't really have much contact with public. We had one of the probably quietest areas. So what we got to do was freeze.
Yeah.
So we froze. But it was worth it. We did have a line of sight down a roadway that went right to the Capital One Arena, where we were able to see the presidential motorcade come through to bring President Trump into the arena. So we didn't see Trump. We saw a vehicle that might have contained Trump. So it was really an honor. It's an amazing thing to go to. It's eye-opening when you get to attend an event like that, because it is an event of historical value. You know, you get to go to it, and at first you don't think about it that way, but then when you start getting into it, you think about how many inaugurations have taken place in the past and how important they were in the past, and this one is just as important as the ones before. So it was an amazing thing to be a part of. I've been honored to be able to go 3 times. I think this one's probably my last. So I really enjoyed it, and thank you for inquiring about that.
All right, so did we have 15 officers go?
It was like 15 or 16, something like that.
And obviously
And then
Sheriff's Office had some,
we
Palmetto had some. And
beach agencies as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
We had a large group.
Yeah, I think it's something that when you look back, why do we do that? But also, it is training. It is for protection. We see when there's things around the country that if you can get a little bit out of it and also then work forward as you go on in life as a police officer,
100%.
you know, that we're good. And I think it's something that, you know, we thank the city council and everyone who works through budgeting things to make that happen for us. And it's an honor, like you said, that we're proud that you went and
Thank you.
and the group.
Appreciate
So if you can pass that along to the group.
Most
And I
definitely.
don't know if Vice Mayor Kramer has anything or ever went, but
I did go.
yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you did.
do you have any comments?
So I froze along with the rest of the team. The times Officer Cerniglia, Detective Cerniglia, his for President Obama's first inauguration, his right hand for some reason swelled up twice the size of his hand. It was sort of a frostbite situation. Took a little while for it to come back down, but he was able to eat a steak that night, so everything was good. And then I was able to go to President Trump's first inauguration back in 2017. 2 entirely different vibes, let's just say, in the town for those 2. But no, it is, we've changed our verbiage on our events here to now we are in cordons here like they are up in the district. And this all started back in 2005 from Chief Razalowski, who was, when he retired from the police department in Metropolitan Police Department in D.C., his last command for years was basically special events. And he was the one who was in charge for D.C. of parades or any large events, large-scale events. So it was good that he was able to get us sort of on that list for probably perpetuity. But it's always great when the team gets there safely, gets around safely, gets back safely. I know you opted to drive, and
I did.
Officer Small and I were in contact on his drive up to check, make sure he was all right, and on his way back to sort of, I was navigating him through like, here's the snow coming this way, and here's the rain coming that
Keeping
way.
me ahead
But
of the weather.
he ran through the chute pretty good and got home just in time. So.
Good. Well, thank you for doing that and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, I'll start out with the fair. Was there last night working with the 100 Club to feed all of the officers through Palmetto, and sometimes our CRT officers are there and others that come through to make sure that while they're working the fair, they have a good dinner. But it was pouring down rain, so it was cold and rainy. So I don't think last night was a great fair. And they were having a veterans event that got canceled because of the rain. So I don't know if they'll try to reschedule it. But again, the fair is kind of that staple. We're the first fair in the state of Florida at the beginning of the year, and it's something that you know, from our community standpoint, we're proud. And they said Saturday night, I think, broke some records with crowds and was a good crowd. So, you know, it's not always there's kids that have fun, but at this point it was very fun to hear that part of it.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Butterby.
I would like us, when we get into doing our budgeting, look at the possibility of having a booth in the Veterans Hall. We did it for many, 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 many years, and it kind of fell by the wayside,
I
but
think it stopped in the early 2000s, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly. But, you know,
So-
it was always great, and I know that sometimes it's a little staff intensive, so if we all, I think something to talk about and bring back, that we'd all want to work a night or do something to promote our city, because we got a lot of great things, and that would be another way to get out the great things and what we're doing when you're talking to people. So, nope, definitely something to look at. Manatee Avenue West is almost done, from 43rd to downtown, and then downtown on 6th Avenue. You know, and again, it's supposed to be done June, July of last year. Hurricanes, supply chain, you can just go through a bunch of things, but we're close, and it's supposed to be kind of completed. I know they're working on some other things about maybe some railings getting back, and that was a conversation I had last night, so we'll talk about that with the Women's Club and just a little bit more on that. But it is going to be nice, and when I got on the MPO 8 years ago, when it said Manatee Avenue 24, 25, it's like that was forever, but now it's almost done, because they do have those things planned out. DOT has things planned out, sometimes 10 years, because they know when they're going to need to be replaced. Talking about some of the challenges and workshops, the reason, we're probably not going to be able to get to everything at this coming workshop, but I feel that, you know, as we process through the next couple months, we'll really have some things with our infrastructure. And one thing that I did hear yesterday, and it's something to think about, is, you know, when the city was built, there was a lot of pipes put in different areas, and some roads have more water pipes than you think they'd need to have, but over the years, there was different ones, 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch. And some of the stormwater and sewer lines might have been relined at a point, but the water pipes are having issues. And they're not as deep as they could have been at the time, because 50 years ago, it might have been a different process. But think about the volumes and the weight of trucks over the last several months that we've had drive over them because of the storm debris. And some of our more common roadways, like 9th Avenue, and, you know, the truck may have went down a side street once, but then hundreds of trucks went down another street because that was their area to get to the way. So those are things that was brought up yesterday in a meeting that hadn't really thought about as much. So we're going to be looking at that, you know, and that's some of the planning and looking that there might be some areas that need to be repaved. But if we can fix some underground stuff, 6 months isn't a long time, but if the underground stuff is going to be 5 years out, then that road might need to be repaved, knowing that it'll be replaced, the underground stuff, because that was one of the things in 2013, and that drove me crazy in the city, that you'd pave a road, and 6 months later, you'd come back and tear half of it up to put new piping in. Now, emergencies happen, things break, but how are we planning? And that was one of the biggest things I asked Colonel Lee to go back on, and Jim McClellan did a great job at that 10-year plan, but we're at the 12 years now, and show it. Sidewalks is important, other things that we're going through. So all of that will be discussed at workshops and challenges that we have, and timing. And we know money can do a lot, but, you know, and you think 6 months, but really these hurricanes have cost 6 months to a year on some things, that then what's next? But processes will be really talked about. Councilman Coker mentioned the LPGA. One of the things that is so important about that tournament, it's at Bradenton Country Club in Bradenton, Florida. It's, you know, we love our cities around us, but it's not at a club in Lakewood Ranch that gets the Sarasota connotation. So I'm very proud that Bradenton Country Club did a great job at recruiting it again. They saw the effort last year, and one of our hometown heroes in Nelly Corda won it in a playoff, which was fun to see. So, you know, when you can get a hometown, and the Founders Cup decided to sponsor it this year, here in town. So kudos to all the people at Bradenton Country Club for doing it and getting it. And, you know, even though Bradenton Country Club is surrounded by city, it's not exactly in the city, but it is our city when you drive through things. So we're proud that that's coming up. And last year they were going to try to have a downtown event, but it was just too quick. This year they've got it all scheduled and we've approved it. And it's going to be fun to see and have the LPGA players down there. And the Founders Cup is really articulating the Nancy Lopez's of the world and the ones that really got that started. And I think that probably was one of the first female sports that put the female sports on the record as it is now today. And when you look at things, I don't know that they still have the monetary value of the different sports, but they're getting there better to make it where to celebrate, you know, male and female sports. Let me see before I go with that. We talked about the workshops. City Park. Drive down 9th and 13th, and you're going to see fences up, working with the Palmetto CRA and doing some things to try to continue to 2-for-1, as we said, over the time, and we'll get as much as we can out of that building that will help them continue the growth of to revitalize their building that is on the historic registry, which ours is not, but it's really going to change the dynamics of the neighborhood in that area, which we talked about this morning a little bit, from Village of the Arts to City Park and back to downtown to Riverwalk, how we're really trying to do it, and we're seeing events. And realize Bradenton, you know, never say that this is their BAM event is going to replace the Blues Festival, but this is the event that is taking that place of the Blues Festival, which when you look at the different areas of Riverwalk that are going to be energized and engaged, it's giving an opportunity to have a lot more different cultural things that'll be out there and what they're doing. So, you know, this is what the event that is taking the time slot, even though it's a different time of the year, but it will engage more, which will then also engage more of the cultural arts, which is on our Avenue of the Arts that we're working in. And you see the Art Center is getting close, and I think they're hoping to have a temporary CO by the end of February so they can tear the other building down to get the permanent CO within a few months after all that's done. But those things are just going great. And then on a sad note, you know, but a celebration note is Councilwoman retired Sandra Ron, you know, passed away, and you know, her husband passed away a few years ago, and you know, as we get older, things happen, and you know more people, but she was a trailblazer on this council for a lot of years, and really did some good things. Was she the first woman?
Lena Bell Coates was the first.
But she was one of the pioneers of getting things done in the city to start some of the early parts of it, and I think 3. I don't remember that part of it, but I just know Sandra. And
Was she 2?
was she 2 or 3, Marianne?
She was
4, maybe?
5.
5. Oh, 5.
She was 5.
Okay, so in Ward 5, but just obviously to her whole family, you know, condolences, but they had a nice celebration of life and really celebrated what she had done for all the years and going through, so. And just, once again, you know, proud of our public works, proud of our police and fire, proud of our administration through all of the last half of the year. We say it a lot, but we continue to just celebrate what we're doing, and we're able to do that with our public works staff and to go through it and, you know, be prepared to work through a lot of the workshops and decisions that are going to have to be made to progress this city, you know, because again, we can't look back. We got to look forward, face it and fix it. And, you know, at times staff is working very, very hard, especially administrative staff, and things are happening, but we're going to continue to grow and push. And I think that's what we have to do in different ways. And the public, I think, is seeing that, and sometimes they're happy and sometimes they're sad. But as you know out there, and I think everyone up here knows, I am very approachable, and if you call or send an email you're going to get a response back with a phone call. And so, you know, there's been a couple of things out there that I'm just going to say it, that people have sent emails to others that said that I didn't return phone calls. You didn't call me if I didn't return your phone call, or you didn't email me. You will get a call back. And it doesn't matter where you are, or who you believe in, we're going to work together and make this city better. And this council is showing that, and our staff is showing that. You may not always agree with the response which you're getting sometimes, or as Mr. Green says, the fastness or the quickness of it, but we're going to be there. So thank you to everybody in all of our departments, and let's get the next 5 or 6 months without any storms, obviously, and get prepared for June 1. And I just want to say to our staff, thank you for that. And there's a lot of stuff to go on in this city that we're going to keep pushing and working with our partners in the county, city of Palmetto, and the islands, because without collaboration, you know, we're not in a silo by ourselves. We've seen that over the years, and that's not the way to be. So thank you very much. Mr. Perry, you have anything?
No, sir.
Close up? Anything else for the good of the whole? We'll be adjourned.
Thankful there's
Thank
no
you.
snow.